Hello, Jonathan.
Hello.
Do you know what I hate?
What do you hate?
Underground tunnels.
Mm-hmm.
The homeless.
I hate how excited I got to see an old issue of Nintendo Power.
Yes, which was featured heavily in the movie Under the Silver Lake.
And supposing you find the answer to who did he do the things to do. The puzzle is still as a puzzle to you. It's what is it that has to be done as a puzzle and song.
I remember clearly, when my neighbor across the street, who was a member of the Nintendo Fun Club, the predecessor to Nintendo Power, got that first issue of Nintendo Power for Super Mario 2 with the kind of claymation cover. It was very exciting.
Yeah, I think I had that one, and then I didn't. I think I found it at the grocery store and was like, oh my God. And then I didn't start collecting them or have a subscription until a little bit later. But I also remember that was the first time I saw, there's a fold out poster for Mega Man 2. And it was the first time I saw anything that looked like Japanese animation. And that just blew my mind. These are the coolest looking robots I've ever seen.
Oh,
and
yeah,
they're all
that's
Mega
cool.
Man villains, but
Yeah.
I was 27
so-
years old.
Hey, whatever. Some people are introduced to the subtler, more sophisticated world a little bit later. This is something I don't do ever. This might be our first. I want to make an addendum. I'm putting an addendum out.
Okay.
To last episode, we
Okay.
watched Saltburn.
Mm-hmm.
And I was insistent while watching that I didn't hate the movie. I was just kind of disappointed in it, that kind of thing. And I think I was thinking that because I didn't want the movie to have any kind of power over me by me actually hating it. The more I think about it, I just want to go back and make a small adjustment saying I absolutely fucking hate that movie. It wasn't that it was unimpressive to me. That's also true. But no, I actively hated that movie.
Yeah.
So anybody that's, listening, like, wow, I can't believe Alex was so on the fence about it. No, I just hated it. And I didn't want to admit to hating it because I feel like that's letting it win. It's like, it's like getting it like a troll bothering you on Twitter.
Yeah, and I hate it. I'm with you, but I can't work up that level of it, particularly now, times away. But same kind of thing where I'm like, no, you're not getting that reaction out of me. It's a little bit like I'm still mad at myself for my reaction to In the Company of Men, just because that movie's designed to edgelord you, and I didn't.
Oh yeah. The thing that set me off was I saw a few different people saying that this is their favorite movie and they fucking love it, and the fury. I'm like, you don't understand movies then. You can't. I know that your opinion can't be wrong, but your opinion is wrong. Your taste.
This is the heavy cross I bear on this show.
I got nothing funny to say.
Yeah, I know. I've heard the show before.
Yeah. Hey, stop that. I've said in upwards of 7 funny things. All right, so let's talk about Under the Silver Lake, a movie starring Spider-Man's own. That guy.
Andrew Garfield,
Garfield.
If you listen to the show at all before, we spoil things, but I really want to stress at the front, we're spoiling a ton of shit about this, and it is a mystery, and part of the whole thing of it is watching it and having it unfold. And so
Yes.
I would really recommend, not to say whether or not I liked it right off the top, but I would like to say, if you're at all interested, watch it before you hear us talk about it, because I feel like a lot of my talking about it is going to not only just reference plot points, but it is it's more than just the plot. It's the execution of the plot, and seeing that in the movie versus me describing it to you in this case is a very different thing.
Yeah.
Not always true with all movies, but definitely in this case.
Yeah, because I'm a person I'm of strong opinion that I don't give a fuck about being spoiled, but I'm really glad I knew nothing about this movie going in. It really, the way it unfolded, I didn't know what was going to happen next. And yeah, it was cool. And the stuff that we're going to bring up, or at least I know I'm going to bring up, I think I can assume you're going to as well, I think will color the way that you watch the movie.
Yes.
Because there's some references that it makes that I think you needed to kind of have the flower blossom open for you, not have it violently, non-consensually open like John demands.
Yeah, okay.
John used to work at a florist, by the way. This isn't a
Starting
metaphor.
early this week.
I think this is the first time I've ever alluded to you being a sex pest.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it.
So, you're welcome. Yeah. So now that that's out of the way, one of the things I hate most about the universe is when broke ass people that owe money have a really nice car. I know that's probably not what you thought I was going to open with on this episode, but that is a key point of this man's character for me.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, it's also speaks to him as a person that's what he has.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's well done, but it still annoyed the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude. You can't afford rent. Fucking sell your car. This is bullshit.
This guy is a gigantic piece of shit. And I think I like that. Not that I like him as a guy, but I like that the movie was very unapologetically, this guy's a piece of shit. Not in in a cool way. He just sucks. But like, he's interesting enough that I found, I was still kind of compelled by his shittiness. I've definitely known people like this, and there's certain aspects of his character that I definitely could see in myself, or I would hope the way I used to interact with the world to some degree, but he's not a cool dude.
I mean, I agree with your overall point, but I didn't take him as a piece of shit. I took him as he reminded me of, well, I guess that's where we go with. Did you think Dean Moriarty in On the Road was a piece of shit?
Never read On the Road.
Oh. Then fucking Dora the Explorer. I don't know what the fucking bring up.
Dean Moriarty from Dora the Explorer? Him, I know.
You illiterate fuck. No, but that kind of do you think cool, and not that he's cool, but laid back, layabout kind of bum types, that reads as asshole to you? I'm not trying to be argumentative.
Not necessarily. Hold on. I'm looking
I'm just trying to put my finger on what...
the Dean Moriarty equivalent in Warhammer 40K. No, I don't think necessarily, but I think that because he's you could argue the dude is the same way from the Big Lebowski.
That was what I was thinking.
And and he's just the way he treats people and interacts with other people, I think is he's they're sort of yin and yang almost. Where they're the same but opposite. He's his nega duck. Whereas the dude is hey man, just chill and be cool. This guy's a little bit more self-centered and take. He's more of what the Big Lebowski accuses Lebowski of being, I think.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
But they're definitely similar kinds of things. I just think he's got, I think there are probably aspects of this in the dude's character, but the movie just, maybe that was younger dude or something.
Yeah. I'm just trying to put my finger on why I disagree with that. Because there's no evidence for it, but it just seems like you're saying take, but it's not really took anything. I mean, you don't see him asking anybody for money.
No,
he's just
but
he's an ignore. So I guess.
Yeah, but I do think his and to some extent the movie's view on women isn't great. I know some of that is built into the commentary it's making, but I also think it kind of does some of the things that it's decrying.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Well, we'll swing around to that. Or you can talk about it now because I don't know what you mean.
Oh, well,
but that's not I don't know what you mean. I mean, my brain, me to be dumb, me no understand.
The dude gets roped into having sex with Julianne Moore. And he's well, okay. Whereas this guy would be at her house the next day and can we do it again? And
oh, okay.
I don't know. I think he's a lot creepier with women than the dude is. The dude just abides. This guy's actively searching for something.
So you don't like strong, independent women and men treating them as such. Okay, got it. Yeah, clear.
That was exactly what I was saying. I hear that Charlie's Angels song from Beyonce and Destiny's Child, and I throw up every time I hear it.
Yeah, I mean same, but for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because you did know that Charlie's Angels could get down like that.
No, me and Lucy Liu had a whole thing.
I forgot. Sorry.
Yeah, this was it's fine. It was 1,000 years in the future. She was a head in a jar. I was a redheaded comic book character.
When I went through my animated phase.
Yeah, it happens. Riki Lindhome is in this, and I know her from Garfunkel and Oates and being Doug Betson's friend. And I was not expecting to see her getting railed and having her boobs out the whole time. And it was disturbing to me because that group is very, they're very cute and funny. And it was like a cognitive dissonance. I mean, she's a very attractive woman. It's just my brain didn't. It's like seeing a puppy's tits. It's just no, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah, no, it's the context is way weird compared to what you're used to. So it's
But the reason I bring her up more than just my finding it awkward, and maybe I missed it, but why was she in weird outfits?
because she was an actress. She was auditioning for different roles and stuff like that.
But that's not how auditions work.
I mean, they also, the way this movie does it as well is like, you know, you see a little bit later when you see like all those women wearing the same exact mini skirts, different colors of mini skirts and black top, going to audition for a movie that's just like in a garage somewhere.
Oh yeah.
That I think it's just that, she says it's for work, but she's an actress. She's trying to get a part. So I took it to be that.
Yeah, I got it that first time, but then when she showed up dressed as like a nurse, the second time I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah. Well, there's also like a larger implication that basically if you can't make it as an actress, or even if you've started to, but haven't fully succeeded yet, that you're going to be a call girl. Not necessarily as like I think the movie's in that case, the movie's trying to be like, this is just the way that Hollywood treats women, rather than being like,
oh yeah, I got you. I was just questioning call girl. I was like, I don't think I actually know what call girl means.
Or you know, whatever you want to call it.
I know, yeah, I did whatever. I'm dumb, and I was like, that phrase is weird. Yeah, so I mean, we meet our lead character, who I believe is named Sam, and he's just a layabout. You know, he's just kind of trying to survive in a really nice apartment. I mean, not really nice, but it's got a view. It's pretty big. Mm-hmm. You have to question what he did before this to afford that.
Yes, and I do like that the movie doesn't really tell you. It also forces you to pick up what he's like or what he's into from the environment around him. Like, he doesn't sit around going like, I love old movies, but he's got old movie posters everywhere.
Yeah.
The movie trusts, and in fact, not trusts, but kind of demands that you pay attention to every little detail in a scene, which is very funny considering the message of this movie.
Well, that's what I one of the things I really liked about it was I didn't look up, you know, the kind of background of this movie, but if this doesn't have a cult following, it will have one.
It does. Oh boy, it does. And
because is a lot of weird occult and numerology stuff layered in the background, and just straight up like codes or whatever. What do you call that? Like encryption or whatever. Yeah. There of course is a subreddit based on this movie, or you know, about this movie. I don't know if this is the main subreddit, but there's definitely one about cracking all the codes in this movie. And in fact, there's a whole thing where like there's a crawl at the bottom of the TV when he gets the news about the billionaire dying that says this certain kind of graffiti is seen around Los Angeles, and it's a name for a kind of cipher. And then you see it later when he's following the girl that takes the box. It references, if you solve that code, it says coffee shop. There's at the coffee shop at the very beginning, like second shot of the movie, basically, there's a Morse code at the bottom of the coffee shop menu. I've heard different versions of this, but basically like through some other elements, you're able to figure out, because the Morse code you get from that is gibberish. But then if you look at some other elements, you can figure out that actually it's saying this, it's like 3-word phrase or something like that. It's not 3-word phrase, that's the name of a comic, but it's like just 3 words or something. And that leads you to a website whose logo is the 3 lines that hobo code means dangerous place. And it's like a map of Hollywood and the different longitudinal, latitudinal codes or whatever like that information. Any spot you click on will translate to 3 different words. And then, because I heard one person was like, and those don't lead anywhere. Like, I haven't figured out, I can't find them. I don't know what I'm supposed to get out of this. And then another one was like, no, because if you then find these codes and it tells you these 3 words, it's actually at Sphinx Mountain, and that's probably where that compound is, where the burial chamber is, or whatever. Oh, okay.
But
thanks, it's Sphinx Mountain makes sense.
Yeah, but it's all that stuff is built in there, and it, while satirizing that element of, you know, looking for codes and meanings and everything. Yeah. It also totally invites you to do it. And I actually prefer the idea that it doesn't go anywhere. It leads you to this thing, and you're left to make your own wild conclusions.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of you know, like Futurama language around. Like one scene, he goes and vomits in a bathroom, and there's a quake on the wall. You see, like there's coded language there. Like it's all over the place. When he meets Sarah, he's in her apartment, and she's got these dolls that's got code underneath. And I think that's probably a 1-to-1 cipher break, because you see the name in English.
That was it, because that's my confusion, because some guy was saying, because those are like Zodiac, like the symbols are like what the Zodiac used.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
And so someone was saying, no, that's just their names of the 3 dolls. But other people are like, no, that actually, those were the 3 words, because it spelled out something else. I forget what it was. But if you go to that 3 words. So basically, this guy, I mean, the overview of the movie, we'll go through it, but the overview of the movie is this guy, Sam, kind of a piece of shit, finds spies a girl living in his apartment, in his apartment complex, kind of becomes obsessed with her, and like they have sort of a meet cute, they hang out, and then she just disappears, and he becomes like fascinated and tries to find out why. As such, like encounters a bunch of other weirdness and codes and secrets and ciphers. So that's why we're already talking about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, the other kind of layer to this that, you know, I'm not going to get into specifics because I don't have the knowledge for it, frankly. But there's a fuckload of old Hollywood in this.
Yes.
That I don't, because like there's musical cues that like are ringing a bell. Like I think that's from a Hitchcock movie I saw or something. But there's a shitload of like old Hollywood references, like her in the pool when he meets Sarah, I think is directly from a different movie. And I don't know which one.
When he has the dream about her later, and like it's like her in the pool and like she just like sticks her leg up.
That's the one. Yeah.
That's like from this unused footage of I forget what the name of the movie is. Something's Got to Give, which is the movie that Marilyn Monroe was making when she died.
That was the prequel to Let the Bodies Hit the Floor.
Let the Bodies Hit the Floor. Which also, Something's Got to Give, I think, is that like Meryl Streep, Alec Baldwin movie.
That does that for yeah, because I didn't recognize, like, I think I just recognized the style they're going for, because that makes sense. She's supposed to be Marilyn Monroe. Yeah.
Oh, it's Jack Nicholson and Diane Keaton. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's a lot of old Hollywood in there, and I think that's part of the commentary of this film as well, is that kind of obsession with the past, but also not learning anything from it.
Yeah, see, I was taking it as, like, especially with that actor, the actress his mom's obsessed with or whatever, I'm taking it as, like, this has just been going on this whole time. Like, there was just weird sex nonsense. There was just dumb cults. Like, this is no one's ever learning a lesson. This is just all, you know, all echoed back.
A lot of the music, I don't know if those are necessarily cues or that was just the soundtrack was done like that, but it has this movie made me think about a lot of other movies, a little bit of like Mulholland Drive, where it's a sort of like more modern version of this noir thing. Brick to that same degree, where it's like, whereas Rian Johnson's was like, what if we just had a bunch of high schoolers talk like noir people? This was like, what if we did noir stuff with just some people, maybe, 6 years out of high school? Southland Tales, because how much of a mess it fucking is. But
Mulholland Drive is the one that came up a lot for me. Like this felt it didn't feel like David Lynch, but it felt like David Lynch at times. Like,
well, it felt like David Lynch, where some of it you were also just kind of, I think really for a lot of it, you're kind of just supposed to vibe with it. You know what I mean? Like there's all these secret codes and stuff layered throughout that's supposed to like maybe explain stuff, whatever. But it was also just kind of just go with this feeling. There are certain characters that like made me think of the cowboy or whatever, and the fact that, this unnamed musician that you meet later and all stuff. And the fact that all the characters have names like Bathroom Girl or Balloon
Is
Girl,
it one
Yellow
just called
Miniskirt.
like Titties or something?
Probably brunette, like Clerk, where it's like, I feel like that is definitely an extension.
Topless Bird Woman.
Topless Bird Woman. That feels just like an extension of Sam. You're just, that's how he views these people. It's like, oh yeah, that's stupid boy.
No, totally.
He's already like, he's got a girlfriend, quote unquote, of sorts, as you mentioned, Ricky Lindholm. She just like shows up and he's like not stoked that she's there. He's like, oh yeah, okay. And they're kind of hanging out, and then they go and have sex. And like in one of the most unsexy sex scenes, they're just talking about this poster he has on the wall of Kurt Cobain. It's like the only thing hanging up in his room. And it's signed by his daughter, by Frances Cobain, Frances Bean.
I think Frances Bean Cobain just married Tony Hawk's son.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's weird. One time, hey, here's a story. I was having sex with my girlfriend years ago, back when I had one. A penis, that is. Before the dark times.
Before a crow took it.
Before the accident. And we left the TV on, and mid-coitus, something funny happened on the TV, and we both got distracted and laughed at it. And it was very unromantic.
Yeah. And then they're just hanging out, and she finds, like he's talking about this old Playboy that he has that was like, this was like the first thing I masturbated to, so I keep that around, which is cool.
Her response to that is so good. She's like, what was the first thing I masturbated to? Must have been a rerun of Charles in Charge. It's a great line.
Whomst among us? But then like she finds these like, whoa, what are these codes underneath? And he gets all like crazy about them. You find out later that they're, he's like started to catalog Vanna White's eye movements during Wheel of Fortune. And that is amazing. That scene, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but that scene is great. And I particularly like Andrew Garfield in this. So often I kind of, I feel like I find him very theatery and whatever, like this particular style of acting. And then I see him in this, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, I actually like this guy. Because I really liked him in like The Social Network. He was good in. There's a British like trilogy of films, they're kind of like TV movies, something I don't know, called Red Riding, that are great to check out. And he's in the very first one. I liked him a lot in that. So it's nice to see him do this.
He runs away with the most recent Spider-Man movie. He's spoiler alert, he's in it. But he's like really brings like a lot of heart, and I know you don't like this movies, but like he shows up a lot. It's like, oh wow, this is like a whole thing.
I would like to see a movie where he and Ben Schwartz are brothers.
That would be terrific.
I
get that kid from Stranger Things, the one that looks like Ben Schwartz. They could just have like the
Finn Wolfhard.
No,
that's the only straight kid from Stranger Things I know. That and the kid with like the no teeth who now has teeth, I think.
No, Stranger Things.
Oh, and the one that Drake is into, or probably not, because I think she's 18 now. Allegedly.
I have no idea what that means.
Drake was like into Billy Bobby Brown. They were good friends. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Drake's
that's
a fucking creep, and I don't like that guy.
Joe Keery. He's like Baby Schwartz.
Oh yeah, you could play as his character on Dead by Daylight. Yeah, I could see that.
There's some scenes in the show that he just is Ben Schwartz. It's fucking crazy. But anyway, yeah, Andrew Garfield, Ben Schwartz, and Joe Keery. Let's get a fucking wacky sitcom going.
Yeah.
And like Jason Mantzoukas can be their dad.
Look, I'm only 2 years older than you somehow, but I'm your dad.
No, I think Mantzoukas is like ridiculously old.
But anyway, so even though he's got this girlfriend, she leaves, and he goes back to spying on people in the pool. He's spying on his next door neighbor who's topless and taking care of her birds, which made me think of The Long Goodbye, which is a great movie. But I think there's a lot of like nods to other noir, just like feelings or vibes from other noir that really inform this, that I think work really well. Yeah. Without being like on there, like, hey everyone, we're doing an homage to this.
Yeah, no, because there's a bit of Rear Window in the spying, and there's I think the music is from the one where the two guys agree to kill each other's wives. Strangers on a Train.
Strangers on a Train, yeah.
I think there's like a reference to there, or maybe just the musical thing. Here's the problem, is I studied this shit in college. I took like a few noir courses, and it's all gone, except for like this vague, hazy goop somewhere. Yeah. And it's like, this movie poked that goop, and there's not enough to have a neuron actually fire. But
no, it's funny because we were talking before the episode about like not remembering some of our earlier episodes, and I think there's a certain amount of like studying for the test with this. Or like I'll think about a movie, I'll get really into it, or something, and we'll talk about it. And unless it's a movie that really like sticks with me, then it's just like I've processed that and it's gone.
Yeah, yeah. No, this is truth. Yeah.
But yeah, I was particularly thinking about that during the scenes when he's trailing the women in the rabbit, and like there's just a lot of driving, and I was like, that's the thing I don't like about Vertigo. It's just there's a fuck ton of driving in that movie, but I'm like, oh yeah, no, this is just sort of doing those tropes of the following someone and hey, look at this city line and all that.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about Andrew Garfield, it was revealed to me in this, and it's probably just an acting choice, but I love his like crooked walking and running. Like he's got this weird stiff, like, I don't even know how to describe it. Just this like lope to the way he moves, and it's really great. It fits the character so well.
For this character, yeah, absolutely, because he's just kind of a frumple. That's not a word. A crumpled guy, crumpled guy.
Frumpled. I mean, although that's not a word, you didn't need to explain it. Like that was.
I know, but that sounds too much like I'm Doctor Who or something. He's a frumpledy-wumpledy, timey-wimey man. That's my Doctor Who impression. That's any of them. Even Peter Capaldi.
I mean, I'm just say this. I've never wanted to smash your face in with a guitar, but like, it's getting pretty close here. I thought you were going to say Dr. Seuss and fucked up and said Doctor Who. No, you meant that.
No, I don't.
You mean that one line from that one episode that you didn't even see?
No, I've seen that episode. That's from the Crying Angels episode. Which which is not too bad. Or at least unless he says it more than once. But yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, so he sees this, which I love when he's spying on his neighbor, because like he's right fucking there, man. And he's just like 5 feet away, but no one notices him. He sees this girl at the swimming pool who's a jerk, frankly, the way that she deals with her music. He has a cartoon wolf reaction, realize like he's spying on her, but she sees that he's seeing him, and he tries to hide, but then kind of discovers where she lives, and later that night tries to go have a meet cute with her by her dog's outside taking a dump. And it was this element that started making me really like this movie. And whether or not it was intended, I don't know. But so you can kind of see it. It doesn't spend a lot of time on it, but it's the camera's kind of following him as he approaches. It's sort of over his shoulder. You see him looking at the dog. And the dog is like in the pose of like pooping. Like it took me a second to figure out that it was poop because it's dark or whatever. But it's sitting there and the camera cuts to the side shot of the dog and you almost immediately see a hand come in with a treat. And that's him. It made me think of Carl Theodor Dreyer movie Vampire, which is one of my favorite like silent horror movies, which has a lot of like dreamlike imagery in the sense that like a shot that looks like it's a guy's point of view, he'll then just walk into the shot. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
The camera seems like it's doing one thing, but it's actually doing another. And that was immediately like, oh, okay, cool. That wasn't an accident. That seemed kind of thought through that this was supposed to be like this. And I think there's several examples of that, like where you're seeing his point of view and then the camera will kind of like turn back around and there he is.
Yeah. There's a great shot in the pool where he does that later, where he's at like a party and he's going through the pool behind like a beach ball. And is that cinematography? Whatever it is. The camera motion in this movie is really interesting.
Cinematography would yeah.
Yeah. I often use that word and use it wrong. And then when I use it this time, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm right, but I'm always wrong. So I'll just question it.
Where I used to work, we had an intern once that told us that Sense and Sensibility was great. It had some of the most confident cinematography he's ever seen. And I still have no idea what that means.
The most confident cinematography.
Yeah, I still haven't seen the movie, so I should see the movie and be like, oh, okay. But the idea of cinematography being confident is interesting. But
no,
whatever.
That just sounds like a pretentious person.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Said something stupid.
Anyway, but she ends up coming out and they like end up hanging out. They don't seal the deal or anything. That's when you mentioned they're watching TV at her place. They get high. They're watching TV at her place, and she's got a poster on the wall for How to Marry a Millionaire, which was which is where those three dolls, the dolls of the actresses, those three actresses are in that movie.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
Yep, which ties in later to the whole thing. But then she's like, her roommates come home. She's like, nah, I should call it a night. I should go. And as he's leaving, fireworks start going off. Apparently, those fireworks are Morse code. It'd say like,
really?
Ascend now or time to ascend or something. I don't know, but she seems very worried about it. And he's like, no, that's late for fireworks, but okay. Well, he's like waiting for a goodbye kiss and it doesn't happen. The next day she's gone. She has just packed up and taken everything. And he's already found like a note on his door that's like, you have 5 days until you're evicted. You like pay me money or get the fuck out.
He has so much nice shit in that apartment. It really annoys me that it's this far behind him, Brent. Do you know how much old Nintendo games go for? He could pay his rent on that shit.
Yeah. Well, this was we talked about this during Melancholia, where it's like, oh, you're getting married in a castle? Oh, that's too bad. Oh, you live in a castle. But, the movie is...
but your point was stupid then.
You didn't do the voice. That's the problem. That's how it makes it smart.
Sorry. Do you want your little rent? Why don't you play your little Nintendo for babies?
Did you recognize his landlord?
His landlord looked very familiar, but no, I didn't recognize him.
He is the bank owner from Better Call Saul that Kim works for.
Oh, that's exactly. Yeah. Chuck.
Yeah.
Or
no.
Char. God damn it. No, it is like Chuck. I know that's his brother's name, but he's got a name like that too.
Kevin.
Yeah, okay, I was totally wrong. That's not even remotely the thing.
But I was super excited to see that guy, just because it's that guy actor that I really only know from the one role, but he's just got a mustache this time, playing basically a similar kind of character. But I liked him. You
know who I liked as a cameo? Towards the end of the movie, they show a black and white TV of, I think it's like an old Twilight Zone or an old 50s movie, but it's the bad guy from UHF.
Oh, yeah. No, that's Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That's the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
But I know that guy is the bad guy from UHF. I'm like, oh shit, it's that guy.
Yeah. We were just talking about that. Another episode, there was another thing where I was like, I only knew this guy from this movie. And it was kind of an insult, but
no, but I mean, I know he's been in a million things, and I've seen him in other stuff. But like,
Kevin McCarthy is that guy's name.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It was a foundational text for me growing up. Yeah.
But yeah, so I had another point. I can't remember what that is.
Oh, by the way, rest in peace, Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh, really?
No, but people listen to these years later, so at some point that's going to be true.
That's true. We're future-proofing. That's what it is.
On that note, rest in peace, Alex. Rest in peace, John.
Nope, I can't die. That's been established. Canonical.
Oh.
Like you can't. But anyway, so this is the impetus for the entire movie. is him trying to find this girl that he barely knows.
Yeah, and they don't even they barely establish her name. Like, she's not an actual person. She's just a crush, that he had for a minute.
Yep. Yeah, her name's Sarah. We know that much. That she has roommates. That's really all we know. And
one of the roommates either is a pirate or has a pirate friend come over.
Yes, I think has a pirate friend come over. That never stopped being funny to me.
That whole
there's a certain amount of this that, like, thematically, you could talk about how, like, he's still, like, hanging on. He's aging out of his 20s, of that, like, freestyle, I can just kind of hang out and do whatever, and it all somehow works out. I know that's not everyone's case, but, like, particularly in Portland, in the time this movie was supposed to take place in 2011, and I would argue that the mid 2000s. I mean, it's always been true of Portland as kind of like for a while anyway, as sort of a younger city, and like going to the working at bars and restaurants and going to other friends' bars and restaurants. There was that was a big part of it, and I think in this there's a lot of like him still trying to hang with this younger crowd, but they're not rolling with him as much. Like when they go dancing in that cave and they go to the old music night, and it's that Brimful of Ashes song that really bummed me out. Cause I'm like, that's not that old. Oh yeah, no, that was 1997. That was very old.
That part didn't track for me. Like, I got what they were doing, but Andrew Garfield has such a kind of youthful face.
Yeah.
Because he's older than he's playing, but he also could play younger. So it's like that, like him, like I get that these are supposed to be people that are much younger than him, but it doesn't really track just because he's got a very youthful face,
But he becomes like obsessed with trying to find her, goes into her, like ends up breaking into her apartment, finding there's a box left there. Like there's a picture in there he takes, then he sees someone come in who's actually, I don't know if I'm saying this right, Zosia Mamet. She was on Girls. I don't know. She's a recognizable face. She was in like a couple episodes of Mad Men. David Mamet's daughter, and has very particular eyebrows.
I was about to say, I wonder if, we don't skip over the most relatable part of this movie where he finds her vibrator and he sniffs it.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Because he's a cool guy. And I think this is also like there's all kinds of just like threads going on in this movie. So we can't like dive into every single one of them. But at this point, there's this background of there's a dog killer in the area. Sam likes this zine called Under the Silver Lake, which is apparently the history of Silver Lake, which is where they live in LA. And I love the guy at the bookshop. When he's like, hey, do you know the guy who writes these? He's like, yeah, he comes in and delivers them. Can you give me his number next time? Here's $5. The guy gets all incensed and tried to pay him. He's like, I'll do it, but I'm not taking your $5.
Yeah. Also, what are you going to do for $5 in LA?
Yeah. But I like that that interaction they have. But so the dog thing is a thread. There's
also the thread of in the same zine that there's this demonic owl woman that's been haunting LA,
who may or may not be real. I don't know. This just starts him on an adventure to just all these different little set pieces, and there's still a through line for all of it. Like, and I didn't notice this at first, but when he's like talking to his buddy at a bar about this girl being gone, that's Topher Grace. I didn't realize that right away. And I'm always so excited to see Topher Grace because he's like one of the few normal people that came out of that 70s show. And I've always thought he was very funny and charming. And
I think we referenced it on the show when we were talking about this, that Topher Grace is the only person back when I was thin that people said I looked like.
Yeah, I could see that.
I'm still going to hold my hat on that, even though that was 60 pounds ago.
Whatever. It still counts. Start sending him donuts. Get him bulked up.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin that beautiful, beautiful man. I just want to go to his house and like have him edit some Star Wars movies for me.
I know. That's such a bummer. Like I want to see his edit so bad. Although someone posted online that normally I'd be mad at this, but I actually am curious about this. Steven Soderbergh did an edit of 2001, apparently.
Oh, is that true?
I would totally watch that because I'm curious. Like I don't know if have you seen it? Have you ever seen his black and white Raiders of the Lost Ark?
No, I didn't know
that's on his website, but like his whole thing is like, look at the block. Like he just put in like music, I think from the Social Network or something. I forget what, but he's just like took out the sound, made it black and white, and just it's beautiful in black and white. But look how it's shot and look at the blocking and look how much the visuals just tell you the information. And like everyone should shoot cool. like this. And it's really cool. But anyway, so Topher Grace is in this as well as his buddy. And there's some theories that he's not even real, that he just exists in Sam's imagination, which, come on, that's just dumb. It's just because you don't see him interact with anybody else. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's to me, that he's in Sam's mind simply because there's no context for Sam's dealings with people are somewhat transactional in a large degree. Like, people play this particular role and that's what he wants them for, and that's it. So he's not going to like call up his buddy to do anything else. Like, it's the same thing with Jimmy Simpson's character who shows up later. Like, it's not like they're really great friends and they interact. They're just specific. Yeah. He calls up Jimmy Simpson when he's like, "Hey, I need to meet this guy."
Topher Grace being, I don't think I buy that, only because, so when one of the scenes we meet him, they're hanging out in his backyard and he's flying a drone, and he flies the drone behind this lady's house, and he's like, "Hey, this lady must have been like a lingerie model," and they like watch her get undressed and then cry.
And then
which
cry.
Is brutal.
Yeah.
But the fact that he referenced, we've done that, like he found that out when Sam wasn't there.
Yeah.
So it should, like, that to me hints at an existence outside of Sam's imagination.
Yeah, I think it's also just, I don't know, people get so dumb with that stuff. And I think, as we said, like, this movie is largely, I mean, we're 45 minutes into this fucking episode, Jesus. Like, okay, so just to sort of fast forward through some stuff, I guess. He eventually gets contacted by the zine writer, who's played by Patrick Fischler. Wonderful, speaking of that, guy actors. In one of my favorite scenes of all time in Mulholland Drive, he's describing the dream of the person behind the Winkies. He's in Happy. It's got a little spot in Veep. You'll know him if you see him. But he's this weirdo who writes the zine. Lives in this house where he has all these life masks of famous people. Like, actually, like, sculpts taken of their faces while they were still alive, apparently, for a lot of them. And my favorite line that he says, he's describing all of it, and he's like, oh, and his house is nuts. Like, he's got the like this case of like Peeps that are all lined up. He's like a weird collector guy. And the part where he's like, I got to get a family. I got to leave this stuff to somebody.
Yeah.
You know, not just the emptiness of his own existence and that he's devoted his life to this, but
no, I like that line. It's a really good delivery. Like the way that he does it, like it sounds like it reads at first like he just realized how pathetic this is. It is like, no, he absolutely didn't realize how pathetic this is.
Yeah. Then he tips him on to some other stuff, like the sign left in the house was this hobo code, meaning keep quiet. By the way,
Sarah's house. Love a hobo code.
Love a good hobo code.
Yeah, like anything that includes a hobo code, like from The Simpsons to the other stuff I've seen hobo codes in. Jack Reacher.
Madman has hobo codes.
Really?
Yeah, he has a flashback to a hobo visiting his dad, and like leaves like a message like, this guy sucks, in hobo code.
I didn't like Mad Men.
Oh.
Like, I watched the first season and I was like, I don't get what John Hamm, very charismatic, but like I would rather just listen to him on a podcast. Like, that show didn't do anything for me.
I never finished it. I enjoyed it, but it was one of those, I'd actually be willing to, like, curious to go back and rewatch it, just because like it is so much like of a book of a show. You know what I mean? Like, it's just sort of takes its time and meanders around. It's really about the characters, stuff like that. But I felt like I got everything I needed, and I stopped sort of caring. I don't know. I wasn't as interested at a certain point.
There's a new episode of Percy Jackson I got to get to. I can't watch something like that. John says, hey, this episode's been going for 45 minutes. Alex, I'm going to start a tangent about a show I haven't even seen.
That's fine.
Good job, Alex. Yeah.
But at some point, following these girls in this rabbit, because he starts following the girl with the box, he ends up at this like late night concert / party thing for this local band, Jesus and the Brides of Dracula. Great
band name. Really feel like if this movie was made 10 years earlier, Jared Leto would have been the lead in that.
Yeah, that guy, like, he's got, like, he's definitely like Jared Leto inspired, but he kind of is like if Jared Leto had a baby with one of the Geico caveman. Because just like his face is very strange looking, but
no, what he looks like a vampire from like True Blood.
Sure. Like, yeah. I haven't seen True Blood, but I absolutely what I've seen of True Blood. Absolutely.
Like he's in quotes sexy, you know, he's got that kind of face.
Like, he's not hot, but he's fashion hot.
Totally. It's like
Banks.
like fashion models where you're like you are beautiful, but in real life you'd probably be like weirdly alien and no.
Yeah.
So at that party we meet the best lady in this movie. There's some lady there that's in a spandex outfit with balloons taped to it, and she's carrying a balloon, and she becomes somewhat of a regular character in this, and she just walks around the party dancing, and people pop her balloons. It is so fucking odd. I love it.
It's very, very weird. And that's also where we meet Jimmy Simpson, character actor Jimmy Simpson. You know him as one of the McPoyles from Always Sunny, which is very, very funny guy, and I was super excited to see him. But like, at this party, he learns about there's another party that's going to happen. There's a cookie that you have that you're not allowed to eat or break. That's you have to keep it whole to get to the party. That's also where we meet. We've already seen that this billionaire, when he's, as we mentioned before, when he's having sex with Ricky Lindholm, sees that this billionaire is missing, sees her daughter at this party, and like is watching her intently the moment that like someone finds out that he's dead, that they found his body, or they found the burnt car or something, and just like creepily watches her react to it.
Yes. But I mean, he looked like he genuinely cared a little bit. Yeah,
there was definitely a little bit of a human emotion there. But anyways, it ends up seeing that like possibly Sarah's hat was at the scene. So now he's all crazy with that. And he just keeps following her and keeps like encountering these weird moments and these weird like codes and stuff that he needs to follow. None of which like make any sense. Because he eventually at some point like is convinced that, they go to another party at Jesus's place, not to skip too far ahead, but at Jesus' place. And he ends up like cornering Jesus in the toilet because he's figured out that the codes, there's coded messages in Jesus's lyrics. Someone mentions that the song has a hidden meaning. And he like ends up working out this bizarre code out of nowhere. That's basically like, the third letter of this back here, much the same way that like Reddit does it. Like back in the day of like Breaking Bad, oh my God, you would every other post on like the Breaking Bad subreddit was just like a picture of a shot and all these different things circled. Like, the salt shaker here is an indication of this. Just these insane people trying to draw all these insane tangents from puzzle box TV shows, which by the time 2018 came out, which is when this movie came out, although I know A24 had sat on it for a bit because how the fuck do you market this movie?
Truth.
Like it waned a little bit, but I still think there's a lot of that. The way that we process media is still some of that. But he ends up finding out like that the code says rub Dean's head and then wait under Newton. And he's like, that's a Griffiths Observatory. So a rub statue of James Dean's head goes to Griffith Observatory, sits under there's a bust of Newton. And the homeless king shows up.
Yeah.
And he just keeps like stumbling into these like, these codes like don't make any sense, but they end up being right. And I love that.
Yeah, it reminds me a bit of Dirk Gently and the Holistic Detective Agency. Audience at Home, that's a Douglas Adams book. And his whole thing is just kind of like, I don't know, just go with it and shit will solve itself. I don't really want to think about anything. And like, this isn't exactly that, but it's got that same kind of like just vibe to it.
Yeah, well, it does, but it's all, I think that the meanings are where I think I wasn't the Holistic Detective was like basically that these are all connected and everything's sort of one, whereas this is a lot more nihilistic in that nothing means anything. We're just sort of throwing meaning at things, not in a shitty fuck you way, which I really like. It like although Sam is ultimately like a piece of shit, he just uses women, and as you said, like, he's got to pay rent. He does not care. He's more interested in solving these stupid little puzzles. Topher Grace at one point has a whole speech about how like there's just generation of men that were raised on video games and secret codes that were just chasing that mystery, that thrill, because there's no mysteries left.
I would like to bring up something here about maybe Topher Grace doesn't exist. Because I just remembered. They are playing the original Super Mario Brothers. Topher Grace is the one playing when we enter the scene. He is playing in the negative world, which can only be reached at the end of 1-2, and you have to block clip. And then you go down an invisible pipe, and you go to the negative world, which is just this, it's almost like a memory dump in the cartridge. It's not a real place. It's like just a misattributed number sequence that you can manipulate on the screen. That's some fucking deep lore that doesn't have, like, you wouldn't do that hanging out with your buddy. And the fact that he's in a secret area, maybe he might be invisible.
Okay. I mean, like, sure. For this movie, yeah, why not?
Because
that's I don't agree,
weird
but
that
that's
they
a good
chose
as
that.
argument for anything else because this movie is violently ambiguous.
Yeah,
And-
it's a really odd choice. That's a very specific bit.
I
of like,
also like the idea though of because this is how I used to play the Star Wars Trivial Pursuit game in college. Of because when it's Sam's turn, he's in the first. He's in 1-2.
yes,
he's in the first
1-2,
underground
John,
level.
We all know that.
Yeah, but you go first and then I'll go. When you die, then it's my turn. That just on his one life, he's already gotten to the minus world and all that stuff. And Sam's just not that good at the game.
I appreciate the effort, but that minus world is at the end of 1-2. They're on the same level.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, never
you
mind.
will find that there is a problem with that though, because the only way you can't start on 1-2 unless you die. And he's got the fire flower, so that's actually impossible for what we
Okay.
saw.
Well, this movie sucks now.
I don't think you really gave me enough credit for my deductive skills right there. What I just figured out, I just blew this whole fucking movie open.
That's true.
And you just sit there.
It's huge.
You
now.
just sit there and with your little hat on and your flowery bonnet, trying to look all pretty, saying, "Oh, I know better than Alex."
Yeah, I appreciate you accepting that I'm wearing both a hat and a bonnet. It's a new thing I'm trying, and I was worried you'd give me shit for it.
Yeah, I couldn't think of the word bonnet, and I'd already said hat.
Oh, that works.
But I'm like, yeah, fuck it. I mean, obviously, I'm just being an idiot. All right, let's get back to this movie. Sorry, I'm being way too
my
disruptive.
favorite scene in this whole bit. So basically,
Wait, I have a point about Sonic 2.
I have not played a single Sonic game. Well, not very long because I don't like them. But this homeless king that he meets takes him to this underground bunker. Like there's tunnels underneath the Hollywood Hills, and Sam crawls out, and it's like, what the fuck? It seems like a bomb shelter or something. And eventually, his machinations end up leading him to because he finds. So I'm trying to skip ahead, but also have it make somewhat sense. Like at some point, he goes to a indie movie premiere at a cemetery. I forget what brings him there. What I like is that the two actresses are hanging out with some douchebag, and they're standing on Hitchcock's grave.
Yeah.
While they're watching the shitty indie movie, and then he recognizes that woman later. He's looking at he ends up trying to figure something out. He can't do it, so he's like, well, I'll just go masturbate. And he starts masturbating and flipping through this magazine and finds this ad for escort service. And that actress is in the escort service ad. So he calls her up and he's asking more information about who Sarah is. And have you seen this girl, whatever. And she starts talking about how she was once at this party in this gated community and it was all super cool. There's one house you couldn't go into though. And he ends up piecing that together. That's where he's got to go. Ends up seeing her at that Jesus party where he confronts Jesus and about the hidden messages in his lyrics. Cause Jesus is I was told to put them in there. They gave me these songs, which I like that moment because he's beating the shit out of this guy in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then Jesus finally gave up the information and he's like, what songs did they tell you to write? He's like, this one, this one. So all the hits, there's no reason to belittle me, man.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
That was very funny. Because this guy, by the way, Sam is very violent. We just saw him beat the shit out of some kids earlier who keyed his car.
Well, his car is very expensive, and they keyed a penis on the front. Those kids deserve a whooping.
Yeah, no, they suck. But I was also thinking about how in noir movies, how that might be oh, I just chased off these gang of young toughs. But in this, they're 12, and he just fucking beats the shit out of them.
Well, one, they deserve it, and two, and I'm not trying to put down your manhood here because I'm putting myself in this, but I'm pretty sure 3 12-year-olds could kick the shit out of us.
Oh, sure.
So I feel like
I think 3 is being generous. But anyway, so he sees her at the party. He ends up getting led to that house. Inside that house I feel like this makes so much less sense than trying to explain Southland Tales. But in that house is this man who's basically just called the songwriter.
the songwriter. Okay, just pause right there. I want you to be in my head for this. Imagine that guy's Bernie Taupin, the guy that wrote all of Elton John songs. Please continue. It just makes it funny.
That rules. That rules. But anyway, this guy gives him this whole speech about how he's made all the songs.
So
all the songs you like, all the pop culture that means anything to you, that's from him, and he does not give a shit. He just wants a paycheck.
Isn't that... He also intimates that he might be immortal, because I think he said that he wrote Bach.
I don't know, but it's certainly
Mozart
the way he's talking, because he's very old, and he's talking about how he wrote the music that your parents and grandparents also like.
Yeah, but at one point he plays with some classical composer.
But I like that scene because Sam's whole thing is basically built around pop culture, like a lot of us. This is a fucking podcast about movies. But just like he's way into this like retro shit. He's wearing these t-shirts that have like retro video games on them. He likes these old movies or whatever. Likes Kurt Cobain, who apparently Smells Like Teen Spirit is something the songwriter wrote. And the songwriter's like, no, there's no rebellion. There's just me getting a paycheck.
Yeah.
And at one point he basically like, there's a shot of him basically like looking into the camera saying, everything you love is dumb, is built by men with ambitions you can't even understand. None of this is for you. You're dumb. And it's all meaningless.
Yeah, big fan of that. On the way up to the house, we're continuing to talk about that scene, but like one of the things I like about this movie is that it leans into the kind of artificial reality. Like it's not trying to be, and like he walks up a Met painting. Like it's a path through a map painting.
Obviously not, but it works. It totally
they're
works.
not trying to make it, and it just reminded that kind of like 50 stuff. But there's also another, so this is, hi, my name's Alex. I have another podcast called WizBiz with Alex and Eric where we talk about Adventure Time. And one of the themes in Adventure Time, or one of the kind of runners, is that one of the last songs that humanity remembers after the human race ends is the theme to Cheers. So the theme to Cheers actually has like this weird emotional resonance like from that show. And hearing it on this podcast, I'm like, this is weird. I don't know how to do this.
Yeah. There was also some line of dialogue. I forget what it was. There's something someone was saying that I thought they were saying Alex Cast, but they were saying something else.
Reminds me. Wait. Sorry. My point is his whole speech about how I'm the controller, blah, blah, blah. Isn't there a musical like that some guy's the songwriter? Like it's like a whole thing. Like he writes
Phantom of the Opera?
I don't know.
Oh, well, I write the songs that make the whole world sing. That's a Barry Manilow song.
Perfect. Exactly. That famous Broadway show, Barry Manilow. But
well, there's also like Phantom of the Paradise where he's writing the cantata, but then they don't want him to sing it. They want Phoenix to sing it. Phoenix.
Sure. I've never watched a weird fucking nerd shit.
Oh, we should watch Phantom of the Paradise. It rules.
But I had the thought that this whole thing about like how there's subliminal messaging included in things, and some of it is useless, except it's like actually made for some people, and the billionaires are the one controlling it, and there's this immortal guy. And I've never thought this before, but I'm like, I wish I could book Alex from 2014 on my show now, because motherfucker, that guy would have a lot to say about the conspiracy aspect of it. And I'm like, I'm so past that point in my life that like I don't. But I'm like, I've got these like little like twinklings back in my head. I'm just like, man, I probably used to have a whole bunch to say about this.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a certain amount of like high logic in this.
Oh fuck it, yeah.
But without being high, basically, and so he starts like at one point starts pulling out a gun and shooting at Sam, and ends up caving in his head with Kurt Cobain's guitar, which the guy has.
Brutal looking scene too. Like he really like his face is fucking gone.
Yeah. Without like going just because we're already so far into it, and I think going scene by scene in this movie just does not work.
Wait. Sorry. Just one more point before we leave the writer thing.
Yep.
Another movie reference is he goes, the Pixies. He plays Where Is My Mind?
Yes.
Which is famously the last scene in Fight Club.
Yeah.
Which I think is like another kind of meta movie about the way that men act. And I thought that was like a really interesting choice. I think this movie's smart. I think that's, by the way, if it's not clear, I love this movie. And I think it's because it's smart. It does like it lets us do the thinking instead of it just being spoon fed.
And I think I wasn't sure, like I really was very curious about your take on this, because it is very like, it seems like something you would like a lot, particularly like you said, like there were things that were like very like 2014 Alex or something like that I could see you like really glomming onto, but then I wasn't sure if you would actually like it. But yeah, without going through the rest of it, basically what we find out is that Sarah is alive. There's a cult of rich people that like entomb themselves into these like sarcophagus, like these
like the pharaohs of old,
like the pharaohs of old under the Hollywood Hills, and they bury themselves with all their worldly possessions and like multiple wives. And some of the three women that Sam was following earlier are this one guy's multiple wives, and that's just like a character actor, but he seemed very familiar to me. And I looked at his IMDb and I could not tell you. He's like, yes, I've seen that show, but I don't remember. Yeah, but I still like him. So that's where he's like, okay, well, Sarah's down with the billionaire guy that died. She's fine. And he ends up calling him. He's like, we have like phones, but whatever. And Sarah's basically just like, yeah, I'm down here. There's not much you can do about it. And whatever. So it's basically this whole thing is him searching for this girl that he has no idea who she is. He's just put this vision onto her, and he gets ensconced in all this crazy weirdness, but none of it matters about like the stuff that he's found. Cause he's really just looking for her, because that's all he cares about. He's not paying rent. He's not like, oh my God, these rich people are doing this weird shit. Because even these rich people doing this weird shit, they're they're going to ascend to heaven. No, heaven isn't real. We're talking about some really serious stuff. Like, it's this really sort of like commentary on crazy Hollywood cults, and just also this extended notion of the things you love and the things you're into don't fucking matter. They don't mean anything other than the meaning that you sort of subscribe to them. They're going to change and go away. And it's weird. And it's also still like Sam, who's still like preserving the past. So are these guys. These rich millionaires are just, I want buried with all the stuff I have now, and these young women who will die in 6 months so I could still be with them while they're still hot. And then you can read into a larger critique of that, of the way Hollywood treats women, that's all they're interested in that from women, is being hot and young. And then they're done. Who gives a shit? But I do think at the same time the movie sort of, and that's the way Sam also views women, but then I think the movie sometimes also does that in service of them. But like the girls also, like, they barely any of them have names. They're all scantily clad most of the time. So it's serving a point, but it's also, I don't know, it's tough. It's a tough balancing act. And so maybe it worked for some people. It didn't necessarily work 100% for me.
Yeah. I really resonated with the signs and portends often mean nothing.
Yeah.
Like, even though they're significant and matter, like if you deal with anybody that's been in the spiritual world for a while, they see synchronicities every 4 fucking seconds. And after a while, you're like, what's the point? What's the point if you have a synchronicity every 2 days? So that doesn't, but that was there. But then also you find meaning in where you want to find meaning is this kind of side passage where at one point the homeless king is like, hey, if you see a coyote, you should just follow it. So he follows a coyote to a party, and we actually get basically his backstory is he finds the woman he loved, and they broke up at some point in the past. It's probably because he was an asshole, and she's doing great. She's on billboards. She's got a really handsome new husband, and they seem like they're getting along. He seems like a very polite man. Like, she moved on, and he's stuck in this kind of adolescent thing. And I don't know. I thought that was really, I don't know, that spoke to me in a way of like, this is pointless and nonsense, but there's a meaning to it because the meaning is ascribed by him.
Well, yeah, it's like he had an actual connection with someone else. They had a relationship. They were humans together. There was love and care there. And even then, like, the fact that how deftly that's handled, I thought was great, because it wasn't like this like game breaking moment of, oh, well, now it's all been revealed. Yeah. It was like, oh yeah, no, that's some heavy shit and that means something. But right now to him, it doesn't. And like, he's still pushing this all down and all away, but we got to just cherche la femme. We got to find this girl. And I like that also that she's on this billboard for contact lens. And she's like, oh, I'm just trying to get myself out there and whatever. And at the end of the movie, that billboard's being covered up with like a hamburger ad.
Yeah.
And that just like that her face, the one he loves, is being just replaced with consumerism, because that's how he lives. That's what he likes. Yeah. And, I don't know. I'm
glad you brought up that the content of the billboard, because that's another thing of misplaced spirituality, where he literally got a sign from God. He saw a picture of his ex-girlfriend with the word contact underneath and just doesn't bother. He doesn't reach out. Yeah. He has to find her through a space coyote. But the in-your-face space coyote, the end of it, when he talks to Sarah on the phone, she's like, what are you going to do? You know, I guess there's no way out. I guess this is just what's going to happen. And he's like, yeah, me too. And it feels like he maybe had like some kind of revelation, but his revelation is, I'm just going to go fuck the old parrot lady across the way, and I'll probably just end up glomming onto her and living with her so I don't have to pay rent. And I like that he didn't learn a lesson.
Yeah.
He got every bit. The universe spoke to him in the clearest words the universe will ever give. And what he came out of it was, she's not that old.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, that's fine. And it's the same thing. Like, and there's this weird thread there where like the bird is saying something, but he can't figure out what the bird is saying. That like, yeah, there's mysteries that just don't have answers, man. Don't worry about it. And I just like that kind of through line about how like, sure, this is a mystery, I guess. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe some of this stuff isn't for you. So what? It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, just move on with your life. And there's so much to be taken from this movie. I feel like it's hard to do it justice in this form without focusing on a very particular theme or thread of it, rather than the way we sort of go through the movies. But I was really taken by this in the same way that like when you finish a book or another good movie where you're like, maybe I didn't fully understand it, but like I feel different. Like, I'm not saying like I've grown, I've changed as a person, but just like, yeah, this affected me, and I can feel. I can't maybe necessarily verbalize all that, but you just walk out of the movie feeling a little bit different.
If I may, a dramatic reading of the last time John did this, And then Xerxes put down his armor. He truly was a warhammer. Oh my God. I'm changed as a person.
There's no Astartes named Xerxes, first of all. That's from 300, and that was the last time I had this feeling, was watching the film 300. And being like, we need to be more racist to hunchbacks.
I think, should I get a bunch of face piercings?
Should I be on an episode of Lost and take a dump?
Yeah, so here's the thing about this movie in regards to our show. Not the best choice for our show.
Right.
Only because there's way too much to talk about. Like, this would... No, I mean, there's no real other way to do it unless we do like a series on it, like, which doesn't work. And I don't want us to do like a 2-hour episode, but like, there's a million things we didn't touch on.
Oh my God,
maybe the next Patreon we can like... pick
that
up
would be
threads
fun.
that we didn't, you know.
No, because I'd love to think about this movie even more. And I'm not saying that in a sarcastic way. Like I would with
there's a
Salzburg,
million things to think about. But in summation, this is honestly like the best movie I've seen in a while. Like every part of this, I really, really liked. I have one critique is that it's 15 minutes too long.
It's the pacing's a bit languid in places. It drags, and I think whether or not it was a denouement that I wasn't immediately satisfied with. Like, I think the second half doesn't, the first half is really good. I think the second half doesn't hold up as much. I think it's a little bit of a letdown when you watch it, but I think as you sort of think about it and soak in it a bit, it's good. It's a movie I want to watch again, but not yet. I want to just sort of ruminate on it for a bit. And I bet it's going to be one of those that, like Southland Tales, it just sort of sticks in my brain for a long time. Because like Southland Tales, it's a mess. Like I said, there's a billion threads. There's a billion things we didn't talk about in Southland Tales. There is this cult following for the movie. And I think it's hilarious that a movie about how all these codes and maps like that are ultimately meaningless inspired people to be like, well, but I'm sure the real meaning is in there. And I'm going to look at all these codes. And that the movie leans into it. Like there's a scene when his car gets towed and the car's driving away. It pauses and the car like zooms past this homeless woman walking by with like an American flag on her cart. She's pushing a cart. It's got this like hanging American flag on it. And it really spends time focusing on her. Like that's going to mean something. Does it? Probably not. But it makes you think it does. And I think it's handled very, like you said, it's a very smart movie. And it draws you in this way that's not like, I know we've talked about this before, but like the Rick and Morty episode, this is when I checked out on Rick and Morty fully, it was like the episode where they do the bank heist thing.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah. And like the whole thing is like, man, I'm so much smarter than this stuff. Isn't it cool how much smarter I am than this stupid stuff? And I hate that fucking tone as far as like a parody of stuff. But this was sort of done with love. Like I've been there too. I want to find all these portents and mysteries. I want to find the answers to them, but there might not be any.
I mean, there's another. That. So the aspect that we didn't touch on that much, but like in spiritual world, the study can be the thing, like, so it doesn't necessarily like there's the great mystery is working on yourself enough so that you can see the great mystery, not that there actually is one. And this movie kind of does that. And like, I like that the lead character didn't get revelation, like that he didn't become aware, even though all that, I mean, it's funny that there's the Zodiac code in there because like, that's kind of what Zodiac is about a certain bit, that sort of obsession, the search sort of becoming the thing. Or I remember there was some guy who was going to write a biography of Robert Johnson, the blues man, the I Sold My Soul to the Devil at the Crossroads, whatever. And like, there was some mystery about his death and the guy like studied all this stuff. And at one point he just like, I don't see the guy anymore. I don't see Robert Johnson anymore. I don't see the man. So I can't do this. I've lost track of it because I'm just so in it. I think this movie sells that feeling very well without being like, look at how obsessed and weird he is. But just sort of this sort of generalized alienation of a certain kind of guy or a certain era of dudes. What the
goes into it. I don't know. I really liked it.
What we'll stop talking about it very right now, but on a documentary front, this scratched like the same urge as Room 237.
It's like, very Room 237.
These are insane people, but at the time you're like kind of convinced a little bit. It's like you're there, like the ride is so cool, and you're like,
how did you get there? A Minotaur? What?
But also you're kind of like, why would there be Calumet powder? Like you started like buying into it a little bit. Like this movie kind of puts you there on the path with them so well.
But then you start wondering, like, because at some point his big revelation of how he finds where the tomb is due to this code on a bracelet that he somehow he leaps to this conclusion that this acronym NPM means Nintendo Power Magazine, and it corresponds.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like I'll save it because I do think that's a good idea for the Patreon. But how Patrick Fischler, the zine, the comic guy, how he's like, I have this cereal box has this scale map of the Hollywood Hills and like this area, and I know it's going to lead me somewhere. And I know my destiny is hidden here somewhere, but he never opened the box.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He never did it. And like, there's so much to unpack here. Yeah, definitely we'll do a Patreon episode going into more of it because we just sort of glanced on it here, and I would love to keep talking about this movie forever and ever and ever, apparently.
Which, by the way, before we get into recommendations, very quickly, I said this was a bad movie for us to talk about. That's not what I mean. It's just, it's bigger than our remit. But
yes.
Oh my God, was this a nice change from fucking Saltburn? Like,
yeah.
Oh, I needed this. I needed something that I liked and I could watch, even if just something that was a movie. Oh, so glad.
A movie that is smart instead of a movie that thinks it's smart.
Yeah, fuck that movie. I have recommendations. I'm going to go first before I forget. One, from the makers of the OA, Murder at the End of the World is really good.
Oh, I've heard that. I've been kind of curious about checking that out.
The lead is my only kind of, it gave me a bit of pause, but she won me over a couple episodes in. And that's just, if you end up watching it, give it some time, because I was like, crap, I'm not going to. And then just like, I'm like, oh, now I get it. Because it's a, the people that are after millennials, Gen Y or whatever, Gen Z, whatever the fuck that is. It's, the Gen Y's Sherlock Holmes kind of thing. Or she's like a true crime writer. And I'm just not used to Gen Y. So it took me a minute, but then when I got it, I'm like, oh, I get it. This is great. Yeah, everybody's great. Britt Marling is in it, and I really liked her from the OA, and she's great in this. Huge recommend. And then another quick recommendation. There is a TV show for it. I've not watched that yet, but 11/22/63. I may have all those numbers wrong, but the Stephen King book about the Kennedy assassination.
Right. Yeah.
It's a incredibly long book. I'm probably about 3/4 of the way through, and it is the best Stephen King I've read. And I think it's the best Stephen King I've read. Other than the fact that he still manages to use the N-word a bunch.
Oh, sure.
But he wrote it in 2011. Like, come on, dude, stop. I mean, like, but other than that, it's really well written. Like, it's really super gripping. It gets introduced quickly enough, but basically there's a time tunnel under a diner that goes back to 1958. Mm-hmm. And you can go there and come back. You can change the past. You're not really sure how that works, but that gets revealed as it goes. But like, man, I'm like gripped by this. Like, this reminds me.
James Franco's in the show.
I believe you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe don't watch that because
no. So I mean, sorry, I interrupted.
No, it's fine. No, it's just he's I think some kind of monster from what I understand.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not knocking the show because of that. I'm just saying that's the one.
Yeah. I haven't seen the show. I've only reading the book. But those are my recommendations, and I recommend them wholeheartedly.
Well, it's funny. I saw there was a tweet earlier this week by a comedian, Kath Barbadoro, who was like, it was in response to Knives Out. Apparently, Knives Out 3 is going to begin filming.
Yes, I've heard that.
And she said, "Can someone who understands the appeal of mystery stories write this one and put an actual mystery in it?" And someone said, "That's basically Murder at the End of the World." So
yeah, I would be curious what you think about that if you end up watching it, because I think it's better than a coin flip, but like I could see a world where it just annoys the shit out of you. I think you'll end up loving it, but like there's stuff there. I'm like, I'm not quite sure if that's going to land with you.
Yeah, like I'm really trepidatious about checking out the new season of True Detective. Just like I really liked season 1. I know there's some issues with Nick Pizzicato or whatever his name is, just cribbing a ton of shit from Thomas Ligotti and this, that, or whatever. But I still really liked the show. I thought it turned me on Matthew McConaughey. I did not like Matthew McConaughey, and then I watched that show and I was like, oh my God, he's actually a really good actor.
For me, it was Serenity.
Oh, absolutely. But 2 was such a dumb season. I just never
2 sucked.
went back. It's got its defenders, which I think is weird, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've heard the new one is pretty good, but I don't know.
Yeah,
for me, I would like to shout out, because I don't think I did this on the last episode, Gunhead, which is a Gunhed. It's the English dub version is a Alan Smithy joint. Alan Smithy is famously the if you take your name off a movie, it's directed by Alan Smithy, because the original director did not like the dubbing, and the dubbing's pretty bad. And I could not tell you exactly what happened in the movie fully, but it rules. It's a like bullshit sci-fi future thing, where these people are they're after some element called Tex-Mexium, which rules.
Nice. Yeah.
But like there's a giant robot called the Gunhead that they end up like building and piloting, and it's really, really low budget, but it's so much fun, and highly recommend it. And I'd also like to shout out my other connection is Diabolic DVD. That's Diabolic with a K. I just got a fucking super sweet deal on the Shaw Brothers box set that Arrow Films put out.
Fuck yeah.
I basically got like $5 a movie, this $12 or this 12 movie Blu-ray set. Really, really nice. There was some slight damaging on the box, which is why they were selling it so cheap. But the discs are all in beautiful condition. I watched King Boxer, which is fantastic. If the close-ups on the eyes, the music that plays with the close-up on the eyes in Kill Bill, that's, even though it's from like, I think like Ironsides or something, like that's in this movie, and that's where Tarantino lifted it.
Yeah. There's a lot of
but it's fun.
It's
It's actually released here as Five Fingers of Death. But
I know Five Fingers of Death. Okay, I've seen that one. Yeah.
King Boxer. So I watched that. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, they have great stuff over there at Diabolic DVD. So highly recommended.
Yes, though I hear there's danger around them.
That's true.
Danger. Diabolic. You had an idea for next time, or you're demanding we watch something next time?
Yeah. So we've watched a couple of movies. They're smart on different levels. But wouldn't you just rather see a bloke punch a guy?
Yes.
Oh, I got good news for you then. We're going to watch Jason Statham in The Beekeeper.
Okay.
He keeps bees and he punches guys.
That's a real movie that we're watching.
It's a real movie.
This happened? Okay.
It's a real Jason Statham.
I've
been hearing a lot about this online. People are like going nuts. They're like, it's just big dumb fun, and we've dealt with some heavy movies recently. So I'm like, fuck it, let's just do a good fun Jason Statham action picture.
So look, I know this is going to break kind of kayfabe, the fourth wall, everything we've ever established on the show.
Oh yeah,
but I would just like to, no, but I
tightly controlled canon.
Yes, it was actually a pretty good accent. Well done.
Thank you.
We've all tried accents. Both of us, over the years, and to a man have been a train wreck. I'm like, that was pretty good. Like, he did it. Well done.
It's fun to do Jason Statham. Yeah. I actually I was really bummed we did on the other podcast. I did The Omen, and I kept trying to work in bad Gregory Peck impressions, and I did not get enough in there, I think. But yeah, so tune in next week where we get real stupid and talk about The Beekeeper.
Yeah, no, I'm going to work on my my Statham impression.
Yeah, just the whole episode is just us doing that.
That'd be fun.
That won't get tiresome.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I mean, no one's going to listen anyway. So y'all should listen to, I'm going to actually try to remember what the name of your show is.
Mm-hmm.
This May Hurt a Bit.
Of you. That will do it. Thank you.
It's the May and the Might. I know the name of your show. It just May and Might fuck me up. Where John discusses good movies with a better co-host, and you can watch.
Pumpkinhead 4 is the better movie.
Yeah,
the Saltburn. Sure.
Yeah, argue with that point, not the better co-host. You fucking asshole. And you can watch me with WizBiz with Alex and Eric with. Now you're better than him too. All right, so we'll catch you.
Slam on Eric out of nowhere. But anyway, thank you for listening.
Whatever. He's never going to listen. All right, see you in a fortnight. Bye.
Bye.